you're a lifter that's been dealing with Achilles issues for months or even years, I'm going to show you my exact Achilles rehab protocol that is actually going to not just rehab your Achilles, but fix your foot mechanics, your movement patterns, and everything you need to keep you in the gym for the long haul. You've probably been stuck in rehab before doing the typical exercises like calf raises, stretching, and ice and heat and all the passive stuff. But what you haven't addressed at this point in time, and what I focus heavily on with all of my clients, is making sure the foot can do what it's supposed to do, mechanically speaking. That way, it doesn't put as much load on your Achilles and on the rest of your body. So by fixing the foot mechanics, we essentially unload the Achilles and allow it to be the springy, strong structure that it is, because the foot is able to react to the floor better and to engage the rest of the body up the stream. Now, before we dive right into it, you're probably curious, who I am, what have I done? Here's a quick highlight reel of me. I went to Indiana University for my bachelor's in exercise science. I did my doctorate of physical therapy at Rosalind Franklin University up in North Chicago. And, since then I've been a PT for about 7 years now and treated thousands of patients, hundreds of which were definitely foot, ankle, Achilles related. So in my time being a PT, I've treated many athletes and just, your everyday people, lifters that want to just get back to living their lives. But, most notably, I've worked with some professional basketball players. Joe Reddick is one of them. I've worked with a guy named Darius, who's he's trying out for the USA Olympic team for skeleton bobsled. As you'll see later on, I worked with Ellie Brown, who's another one who's dealing with some foot pain. Who's just she's a mom. She works out and just wants to live her life. And then Brock, who was a runner-up in state track as a sprinter. And throughout this video, you're going to see multiple conversations between me and my clients, and just goes to show this stuff works. It gets to the root cause and gets you to where you want to go. So when it comes to Achilles rehab, many providers miss the mark on the reason behind the Achilles is getting overloaded. They address the symptoms, which can be partially relieved with some stretching and some of the modalities I mentioned. But when you get back to lifting, running, playing sports, it's going to come back because the overload is still there, because the mechanics have not changed. So this is not for those that are looking for a quick fix by any means, but are looking for a long-term fix so they can stay in the gym and active for wellness and longevity purposes without this fear of this coming back. Because that's the biggest thing at the end of a rehab protocol. It's okay, once you get back to doing the stuff that you want to do, is this going to come back? This type of protocol where you're actually taking care of your foot and your foot health in general, it's going to drastically affect everything upstream, including your Achilles. And your Achilles is a tissue that we're also going to address. Rehab misses the mark is we only focus on one area that's already overloaded without actually fixing the areas around it. A lot of that's because many PTs and providers don't really understand biomechanics as a whole, and especially not at the foot. So as you can see here, this is probably where you're at if you're watching this video, because you've already likely discussed and talked with me, and you've tried one or multiple of these methods to try and solve your problem up to this point. So the typical protocol, like I mentioned, you got your stretching, your heel raises, the Rice method, which is extremely outdated. Massage, Graston, inserts, insoles, and oversupportive shoes. Shoes are another gigantic topic that I'll cover in a different video. But these are things where you've probably done, seen, tried, etc. with pretty much limited results, maybe at best. And if you did get some results, probably not the ones you were looking for, because you went back to what you were doing and this type of pain came back, which left you in the position that you're in now at that last box, leaving you frustrated, can't move like you want. Other areas are hurting, foot, knee, hip, back. You feel weak, seeking more invasive treatment options, and still haven't really gotten to the root cause. Why do these methods continuously get pushed by your primary care providers, your podiatrists, and even your therapists? Well, here's why. So, outdated methods. So outdated methods meaning most of the passive treatments that you see or have done, ice, heat, medication, etc., anti-inflammatories, they really, again, don't solve the issue. It's more of like, hey, let's put a band-aid on the symptom and, at least it feels good. But it doesn't actually solve the problem. It doesn't speed up the healing. It doesn't do what we once thought those things did. Like I mentioned earlier, like most people have minimal knowledge in biomechanics and how to apply that with certain movements, especially movements like lifting, running, and sports. Bandwidth is another big one. Your typical provider is going to be seeing 2, 3, maybe 4 people at a time. I know when I worked in the clinic, I saw multiple people at a time, and which is why I switched to this style of treatment where I can actually be present with who I'm working with and create a actual plan that progresses to their goals and not just, making sure they come in, do their exercises, and go home after an hour. Within that busy clinic, it's not necessarily the clinician's fault by any means. I mean, it's not even your fault. You've been led to go here by the medical system, and the therapists are in a poor position to provide the level of care they're capable of because of the medical system in general. It's it's a for-profit system, especially for insurance companies, which again is another reason why insurance a lot of times gets in the way. And it can be good for life-saving things and emergencies and things like that, but for your typical care that may be ongoing, it's not the most efficient. And that's probably what you've dealt with and led you to being frustrated as well, because you went to 12 sessions of PT, then they stopped covering it, and then you stopped, and they didn't care if you got back to lifting and squatting heavy weights, or they didn't care if you went back to playing pickleball. All they cared about was, cool, they can walk, they have less pain, their strength measurements look good, we're done paying. Despite everything you've tried, you can get better. It's just, have you found what's actually worked for you and addressed the root of the issue at hand? Here's a short clip of Ellie, a patient that I had who in just 4 weeks we solved her foot pain using this type of protocol to address the foot mechanics specifically.
My pressure, if you will, in like the middle 3 toes when I'm standing, like gripping for dear life. And basically he had to teach me kind of how to stand again and how to engage my outer and inner toes and my heel at the same time to form that 3-point area to really like get me to distribute my weight properly. And within 4 weeks time of consistently doing the exercises that he shared with me, I was able to significantly improve.
So as you can see here from Matt, he's a client of mine that, just about halfway through his time with me was already waking up pain-free for the first time in 6 months. He was able to drive for long hours of the day, 4+. He had a little wedge in his car to help with it. He was able to drive 4 hours and be completely pain-free for the entire drive, which was a pretty significant win for him. And the biggest thing that I see from everybody is, that morning pain and stiffness, and he was able to wake up for the first time in 6 months pain-free. So now that we've covered all the stuff that hasn't gotten you results, let's talk about what actually will. And this is the Lifter's Achilles Revival protocol that I've come up with that has been paramount in my approach to therapy. Make sure that, again, we hit the root cause. That way you feel good, you can perform well, and you have the tools to keep it from coming back. So kind of honing in on this first piece here, the Lifter's Achilles Revival protocol. This is exactly what I do with each client. So it goes into a full biomechanical analysis, with a 12-point movement shoe wear assessment that I made up and make sure that it applies directly to you. And from that, we start rebuilding your foundation, especially from the foot up. And then once you have the foundational movement patterns down, the foot can do what it's supposed to do, and we kind of clean up the movement patterns that we see in the analysis. I build your program in that exact matter based on your deficits and your goals, based on where we need to go. During that time, my goal with everybody is to keep them in the gym, keep them lifting, keep them moving. Modified, tailored as needed, but the goal with this is to have this built into your schedule and lifestyle so that way it's not taking away from your workouts, it's an adjunct. That way we can again continue to make progress with the rehab, but also progress in the gym. So there's the why, and here's where you end up as a result. So lifting pain-free, better awareness of your feet and the rest of your body and the synergy between them. If you're an athlete and you want to get back to more athletic stuff, basketball, pickleball, running, etc., again, that's built into the later stages. And the biggest thing is no more invasive treatments, no more medications, injections, inserts, shoes, buying them every 3 months. The goal is to get you off of that cycle and back to living your life so you're not constantly thinking about, is this the day that the Achilles goes? All right, now here's the good stuff. The lifter's Achilles revival protocol. This is my exact framework that I use and things that we pay attention to when it comes to not just the analysis, but the performance of the exercises and then getting you to the spot you want to be, lifting like you were, walking, hiking, playing basketball, pickleball, all the things that you haven't been able to do. This addresses from the root cause all the way to the higher performance. So what we start with here is that 12-point biomechanical analysis. This is the exact thing that I use during the analysis and what I have my clients do. And we break down together on a call. So you see exactly what I see, the leaks in the system that are important to address in your rehab, which is the root cause of your issue. And I've structured it in a way where I can see a ton more here, slow it down via video, take still photos, and show you and explain to you and draw up exactly what's going on during each and every movement. It allows me to cut out a ton of fluff and just give you the things that you need to actually fix the problem. The foundation rebuild, like I mentioned, is the kind of paramount of what's happening here and super important when it comes to building a strong foundation so we can build the house. The house is going to be all the strength stuff that is important and that you'll take to the gym with you. The foundational aspects are skill acquisition pieces that need to happen in order to progress to that next phase. That's why we focus on this part the most. That way we can get all the way to the more fun stuff and we can finally start to load more with the new skills that you've acquired. And then the final piece being the maintenance and prevention, right? How do we keep this from coming back? What are the top things you need to do to keep this from coming back? And if it does come back in a much milder fashion, because we can't prevent all injuries here, we can only decrease your risk, you have the education and the tools to address those appropriately, and you're already hardwired to move in a certain way because you've addressed the foundational piece. So from here, you can kind of see how differently this is approached. Can be very tailored and specific to you, but it's a framework of success to get you where you are to where you want to be from a rehab standpoint. So now that you know that this protocol is actually going to fix the root of your problem and get you back to just waking up out of bed pain-free like Matt did in just 6 weeks, and back to playing pickleball and paddle and skateboarding like Bryson did, or back to sprinting just like Brock did and winning, second in state. Don't you think it's time to address the root cause of your issue and actually solve this so it doesn't come back? So if you're a lifter that's really looking to get back to living your life in the gym and outside of the gym, and you're ready to kind of put this Achilles issue behind you for good, go ahead and book a one-on-one call with me to talk about what's going on and how we can best serve you and get this behind you. Because ultimately, the longer you put this off, the worse it typically gets, and it doesn't magically just go away. It just puts you further behind the 8 ball with a decreased chance of actually getting this better for the long haul. So really there's only 2 paths here that we have. Path A is you continue doing what you're doing, right? You can continue doing your calf raises, doing your stretches, wearing your insoles, your inserts, new shoes, keep plugging away with the podiatrist who's eventually going to recommend surgery. Or path B, we start working together, actually find the root cause with my 12-point biomechanical analysis, put you through the entire protocol like I just showed you. That way it's predictable on my end for what we're looking at, the progress I expect you to make, and then a program that's actually tailored to your needs to get you back to what you want to do, not just the same program that 80-year-old Josephine and 16-year-old John got, that you're doing the same exact thing over and over. That doesn't make sense for you. You owe it to yourself to find a plan and a protocol that makes sense for you, that is dialed in for your lifestyle and the activities you want to get back to in a predictable fashion from someone who actually has treated the exact thing that you're dealing with. If path B is your option, again, go ahead and book that discovery call at the link below. That way we can get rolling on this ASAP and make sure that you're a fit for the program. That way we can get you started and get you to feeling better, faster for the long haul.